Have you ever walked into the kitchen, opened the fridge, and suddenly paused, unable to remember why you went there in the first place? I have, and honestly, more times than I care to admit. At first, I thought, maybe I'm just tired. But then these little what was I doing again moments kept happening. One day I meant to grab the salt and walked out holding a tomato. That's when I started wondering, is this just part of getting older? Does turning 60 mean we're bound to forget even the simplest things? But here's the good news I've come to learn through stories and personal experiences. Our bodies, our minds, and even our immune systems, they can all be nurtured, strengthened, and renewed if we know how to start gently and mindfully. It's not about expensive supplements or fancy health foods. It's about the simple things, the kind of food we already eat every day, that, when chosen wisely, can become a shield, protecting us from illness, especially after 60. Today, over a warm cup of tea, I want to share with you 6 humble, everyday foods that can help keep your immune system strong. Not through big claims or advertisements, but through real stories, gentle wisdom, and things you can do right in your own kitchen. Because after 60, our bodies aren't quite as resilient as they once were. The immune system, like a loyal guard at the gate, starts to slow down, maybe even get distracted, and that's when little illnesses find their way in. But instead of worrying, we can choose to take small, daily steps to care for this guard of ours through the food we eat, the habits we form. The first food I'd love to talk about is garlic. Simple, right? But did you know that garlic has been called nature's antibiotic for centuries? Just a few thin slices a day. Let them sit for a few minutes to awaken their natural powers, and then toss them into a stir-fry or mix into a warm bowl of soup. That alone can help strengthen your defenses. I know a friend. She's 72, and every morning she eats a bit of garlic with honey. It's bitter, she laughs, but every time a flu hits the neighborhood, I stay perfectly fine. Next up, mushrooms. Not the canned or frozen kind, but fresh varieties, like shiitake, maitake, or even a few slices of reishi, if you can find them at the market. These little wonders contain something called beta-glucans, which help wake up your immune system gently and naturally. On rainy days, I love making a warm pot of brown rice and mushroom porridge. It's easy to digest, fills the belly, and somehow it warms the spirit too. Then, of course, there's the good old citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruits, and tangerines. They're full of vitamin C, something we've all heard of, but don't always get enough of. Instead of taking pills, I like slicing a fresh orange, sprinkling a tiny bit of pink salt, and enjoying it slowly in the morning. Some days, I just squeeze a lemon into warm water. Simple, soothing, and a lovely way to wake up my system. What I've realized over time is this. After 60, we don't need more. We need better. We don't need strange powders or overflowing pill boxes. We just need to understand, really understand, the power of the foods that have always been with us. Think of your immune system as a quiet friend who's always been by your side. If you ignore them, not just with food but with care, they'll grow weary. But if you tend to them gently and consistently, they'll stand tall and protect you when it matters most. I remember once visiting a hospital to see an old neighbor. There, I met a lady nearly 80, but her eyes sparkled. Her cheeks were rosy, and her hands moved quickly, knitting away like she was still in her 30s. I asked what her secret was. She smiled and said, "I don't take many pills, but every morning I drink warm turmeric water with a pinch of black pepper, and I nibble a few almonds. My immunity isn't in a bottle. It's in my meals and my smile." It stuck with me. Taking care of our health doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can begin right in our own kitchens. No drastic changes, no need to push ourselves. Just simple choices, a little more garlic, a handful of mushrooms, a juicy orange instead of soda, and we slowly, lovingly rebuild our strength. And once we understand why these small changes matter so much, we start to feel more connected, not only to our food, but to our bodies and to the quiet, steady rhythm of living well. So now, with your tea still warm and your heart perhaps a little lighter, let's keep going. There's more to discover, more everyday foods with quiet strength, waiting to be part of your daily care. Let me tell you something that always brings a smile to my face. A few years back, I met a retired teacher while visiting Delat, a quiet, misty town nestled in the hills. He was 74, still sharp, with a sense of humor that lit up every sentence. Every evening, no matter how his day went, he sat down and wrote 5 lines in a little notebook. Sometimes it was something as simple as, "Had a lovely bowl of fish noodle soup today." When I asked why he did it, he chuckled. "It keeps my mind busy, but in a gentle way," he said. "I recall what I did, what I saw, what made me smile. That's my daily memory workout." And you know what? After a few months, he told me he felt clearer, more grounded. Just 5 lines a day, nothing fancy. But it kept his thoughts flowing like a quiet stream. That's the thing about aging. We don't need to wrestle with our bodies or push our minds. We just need to keep them gently moving, gently engaged. And that includes how we eat. Now, we already talked about garlic, mushrooms, and citrus fruits. But there are a few more foods I'd love to share with you, ones that might already be in your kitchen, quietly waiting to help you feel stronger and more balanced. Let's start with leafy greens, spinach, kale, mustard greens. These aren't just for salads. They're rich in folate, vitamins A and C, and natural plant compounds that help your immune system do its job. Think of them like sunlight for your cells. I know someone who blends a handful of spinach into her morning eggs. It turns the omelet a little green, yes, but it's tasty and nourishing. The beautiful thing about greens is that you don't need a lot. A small serving with lunch or dinner, even once a day, can go a long way. I often saute mine with a touch of olive oil and garlic. Simple, comforting, and kind to the body. And speaking of olive oil, that brings me to another gem, healthy fats. When we talk about food and the immune system, most people forget how important fats are. Not the deep-fried kind, but the ones that support our cells and help reduce inflammation. That includes avocados, olive oil, walnuts, and fatty fish like salmon or sardines. There's something calming about preparing a meal with care. Drizzling a bit of olive oil over roasted vegetables. Crushing a few walnuts into your morning oatmeal. Or spreading avocado on a slice of whole grain toast. These aren't just tasty moments. They're medicine, disguised as pleasure. My aunt, now 82, has a ritual. Every Sunday, she bakes salmon with lemon and herbs. For the heart and the brain, she says, but I think it's also for the soul. There's something deeply grounding in knowing you're feeding yourself something good, something that will take care of you from the inside out. Now, there's one more food I want to talk about, and it might surprise you. It's not fancy, it's not trendy, but it's one of the oldest and most powerful allies we have. That's right, yogurt. Plain, unsweetened yogurt is full of probiotics, the good bacteria that help balance your gut. And as we age, our digestive systems often become more sensitive. The gut is deeply connected to our immune system. Some even call it our second brain. By taking care of your gut, you're also taking care of your body's defense system. When I was younger, I didn't think twice about digestion. But now, I see how much of our well-being starts there, and how we absorb nutrients, how we process food, how we feel after meal. A small bowl of yogurt in the afternoon, with a bit of honey or fresh fruit, is a gentle way to support all of that. And here's something I often remind myself. Food is more than fuel. It's a way of remembering who we are, what we love, and how we've cared for ourselves through the years. You see, after 60, meals become something else. They're not just about filling the belly. They're about comfort, memory, and connection. The smell of herbs can remind you of your mother's kitchen. A spoonful of soup might bring back winter evenings spent with grandchildren. Even the act of chopping vegetables. It can feel like a quiet meditation if you let it. That's why I believe so deeply in these foods. Not because they're trendy, not because they promise miracles, but because they offer something real, something steady. They remind us that we're still in charge of our well-being, one gentle choice at a time. So far, we walked through garlic and greens, mushrooms and yogurt, citrus and salmon, each of them with a story, a purpose, a place in our day. But more importantly, each of them with the power to give us just a bit more energy, a bit more clarity, and a bit more peace. And the best part? These aren't things you need to search far and wide for. Most of them are waiting for you at the corner market, or maybe already in your kitchen. We've come a long way already, haven't we? And yet, there's still more to explore, not just with food, but with how we think about health, aging, and the joy of taking care of ourselves. Let's keep going, slowly, gently, because there are still a few more small things, humble as they may be, that carry great strength. And I can't wait to share them with you. There's something tender about this stage of life, isn't there? We've gathered so many memories, watched seasons pass, held babies who are now taller than us. And yet, even with all that wisdom, some mornings still begin with quiet ache, not just in the joints, but somewhere deeper, a longing for balance, for clarity, for the feeling that we're still growing, still tending to something important within ourselves. I often think about how we care for others most of our lives, children, families, even neighbors. But now, it's time to turn that gentle care inward. And what better way to do that than through the simplest daily ritual we have, eating. We've talked about garlic and mushrooms, citrus and greens, salmon and yogurt. These foods, as ordinary as they may seem, are threads in the beautiful tapestry of wellness, quietly strengthening the immune system, one meal at a time. But beyond nutrients and vitamins, there's something else I hope you felt during this conversation. A reminder that you matter, that how you nourish your body is a form of self-love, that your presence, your strength, your continued curiosity about life, it's all part of something sacred. I remember once sitting with my grandmother just before her 90th birthday. She said, "It's funny, I forget names now, but I don't forget how people made me feel. And I never forget the warmth of soup on a cold day." She paused and smiled, and the smell of cinnamon always reminds me that I'm still alive. It stayed with me, because at the heart of wellness, true wellness, is not just staying free from illness. It's about feeling alive, awake, in tune with what our bodies are whispering each day. Maybe that whisper says, take a walk after breakfast, or drink more water, or maybe try adding something fresh and green to lunch today. It doesn't shout. It just gently nudges us in the direction of care. And we can choose to listen, not because we fear aging, but because we honor it. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every moment of slowness, they are not signs of fading. They are signs of having lived. And now it's about living well. You don't need to follow strict diets or chase trends. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin right where you are with what you have. Try adding a handful of spinach to your soup. Squeeze a lemon into your water. Snack on a few almonds instead of something processed. Or start a tiny habit, like keeping yogurt in the fridge for the days when your stomach feels a little off. Small things, but done with intention. And over time, they begin to add up, not just in health, but in confidence, in comfort, and in joy. Because food, at its best, isn't just about survival. It's about comfort, tradition, family, connection. You've probably shared more meals than you can count in your life. But perhaps now, it's time to begin sharing meals with yourself again, with the same kindness you've always shown others. You see, your immune system doesn't just respond to nutrients. It responds to peace, to rest, to joy. When you laugh, when you sleep well, when you savor the smell of garlic sizzling in olive oil, your body says, thank you. So maybe today is a beginning, or maybe it's a continuation of something you've already started quietly in your own way. Either way, you're not too late. Never too late. There are people who learn to sing at 70, people who write their first book at 80, people who start taking walks again after years of staying inside. You, yes, you, are still writing your story. And it's a beautiful one. And if this video has felt like a conversation between friends, that's exactly what I hope for. Not advice, not instruction. Just one heart reaching out to another, saying, you're not alone. You still have so much life to live, and you deserve to live it with strength and ease. So I'll leave you with this. Eat kindly, rest gently, move joyfully, and above all, listen inward. That quiet wisdom inside you, it's been there all along. Now's the perfect time to follow it. And if you have a little habit or tip that's helped you feel stronger, more clear, more alive, I'd love to hear it. Leave it in the comments below. I read them all, truly, and they warm my heart more than you know. If this little conversation brought a smile to your day, maybe hit that like button or subscribe so we can keep having these quiet chats together. Over tea, over stories, over the shared experience of this beautiful season of life. Until next time, take good care of yourself, gently, patiently, lovingly. You are worth it.